What is good, everyone? Welcome to the channel. Today I'm doing a bit of a dreamer topic, dreaming of the day when Japan opens up its borders to foreigners or starts issuing visas to people who want to move here to live and work. We are not to that day yet, but we can think about it, and we actually have a little bit of good news in that the government is dropping the state of emergency within Japan. The restrictions that go along with that will be gone in a couple of days. Now, that doesn't have anything to do with the borders themselves, but it is a positive step, and let's hope it's also in the right direction towards opening up Japan to foreigners to come back. So the dreamer topic today, though, is thinking forward to that day when the borders open. What are the things that you should leave behind when you come to Japan? That's right. Forget these at home when you come here. Okay, before I get into the list, I just want to say that autumn is officially here. We are into the cool weather at the end of September, finally. And you might be thinking about fall activities wherever you're from. Maybe if you're from the US, it's apple picking at a local apple orchard. Well, in Japan, it's going to be picking of kaki or persimmons. They're starting to come in now. And if you would like, please invite the like button to go persimmon picking with you. And if you really want to get into the season, please go out on a boat with the subscribe button to go catch sweet shrimp and the squid, ika, that are running right now, if you really want to get into the whole seasonal delicacy thing. All right, with that out of the way, let's get to the topic. All right, the first thing that you want to leave behind when you come to Japan is colognes and perfumes. Now, I know colognes and perfumes enjoy a certain amount of popularity in the US and Europe, but not so in Japan. They're not really appreciated here. You know, you think of it as a country that has a lot of narrow places, like riding on crowded trains and on crowded buses, even walking on crowded sidewalks that are narrow. You're always close to other people in many parts of life, and even during Corona that's the case. The trains are still pretty packed. And so anything that really has a strong smell isn't greatly appreciated. So colognes and perfumes aren't really something that you want to have or use while you're in Japan. Now, I've heard Japanese people say that, well, Japanese people have a more sensitive sense of smell compared to Westerners. And their reasoning for this is because Japanese cuisine is more light and delicate than Western cuisine. And so therefore their sense of taste and their sense of smell is that much more sensitive and delicate. I guess there's a kind of logic to that. It makes some sense, but I don't know scientifically if that's correct or not. But I will say this, there is a physiological difference in terms of body odor. Frankly, white people are more likely to be smelly than Japanese people, and that, I think, is proven. So when you come to Japan, be sure you have a good supply of your favorite deodorant, because what they sell here is going to be a little bit on the weak side, but leave the cologne and perfume at home. The second thing that you should leave at home when you come to Japan are the incredibly revealing clothes that you might be used to wearing and is totally fine in America or Europe. What exactly am I speaking about? Well, athleisure has made some inroads into Japanese fashion sense, but yoga pants, things like that, where you're really showing off what the Japanese call body line, are not something that are popular here. Basically, anything that shows off your booty, shows off your legs too much, like leaves nothing to the imagination that way, people are going to look at you. Also on the list would be things that reveal cleavage, or like crop tops. I actually have a former student, she's Japanese, but she lived in Australia for a number of years, and she said she misses wearing crop tops because when she wears them here, people just stare at her and look at her all the time. So it's not just because you're foreign if they're looking at you. If you're wearing things that are particularly body revealing, then people are going to look at you. So the second thing to leave or forget at home is really body line revealing clothing. I'll add to that that you don't even see men jogging or running in Japan shirtless. Like, you can run without a shirt in America and it's totally fine. But I run, it's my major hobby. I'm running all the time on the weekends, and I never see men with their shirt off. The few occasions where I do see a man with his shirt off when he's running, it's a white guy. The third thing to leave behind when you come to Japan is, now don't get angry with me about this one, but leave behind the candy and sweets and chocolate from your home country. If you're from the United States and to some extent the UK and Australia. Why? Generally speaking, they're just too sweet for Japanese tastes. Now, if you're from Europe, if you're from like Switzerland or Belgium or France, those chocolates will be very much appreciated. But American stuff and like even Australian or British Cadbury, not so much. Too sweet for Japanese tastes. And even like American pies and cookies and cakes and things are often considered to be far too sweet for Japanese. It's one of those taste differences. And to be honest, if you're coming here to live, I think you're gonna love Japanese chocolates more than American chocolates. It's one of the culture shocks I have when I go back and I pick up like a Hershey's bar, and it's just, man, it's just sugar. But the inexpensive chocolates here are going to have more cacao. They're going to have more cacao mousse in it. It's going to be more beautiful, good, chocolatey goodness and less sugary BS. So you might want to bring things here because you are aware of the omiyage or souvenir culture, which is when you travel somewhere and you come to Japan and you want to, bring some kind of souvenir to your hosts or to the people you're going to be working with, or if you've traveled abroad while you're living here and you want to bring back some kind of souvenir treat. I would leave the chocolates from America behind because, they'll be accepted with a smile, but they'll either be kind of half enjoyed or they might just get tossed in the bin. The final thing to leave behind when you come to Japan is any idea that it's going to be easy. Unless you have a lot of willpower and a real plan in place, it's not going to be easy to remain vegan or vegetarian. You might need to leave that behind. Now, don't get angry with me, but I happen to know a good number of people here who were vegetarian, who were vegan, who gave up. Now, that's not to say you can't avoid things like chicken and beef and pork. That should still be relatively easy. The problem is seafood. It's in everything. Seafood extract, fish extract, flakes, in soup stocks. It's everywhere. And I know a lot of people who were vegetarian who became essentially pescatarian because they gave up trying to avoid it. Now, they're not going into a supermarket and buying a fish and grilling it and eating it, but they're just accepting the fact that the soup they ordered probably has fish stock in it. Now, like I said, if you have a strong willpower and you have a good plan in place, you learn the kanji characters for the various fishes and, shellfish like hotate, or, I have to think of the word in English, hotate, scallops, shrimp, that kind of thing. I do have a friend who kept kosher while he lived in Japan, so he was able to avoid shellfish by knowing those kanji characters. It is possible, but it's going to take a lot of work. So yeah, remaining vegan, vegetarian here is going to be an issue. You might want to leave it behind, avoid pork and beef, but just accept that fish is going to be on the menu in many respects. Now, you might be saying, well, what about the famous tofu cuisine of Japan, developed because of the Buddhist monks? Well, yeah, that of course exists, and I'm going to be blunt. Tofu in Japan is amazing. It's really good. It's nothing like the absolute junk tofu that they sell in the States. When my wife and I lived in the States together for 3 years, we just gave up trying to buy or find good tofu. And part of the problem, I think, is because Americans are always trying to take tofu and like turn it into a hot dog or into a hamburger, like making it seem like meat. In Japan, they're just going to serve you tofu and tofu cuisine because that's what it is. And that Buddhist cuisine is amazing because they've done so many interesting and wonderful things with the flavors, the presentation, the texture, everything that comes along with it. It's really, really delicious. So when you're in Japan, order tofu and eat tofu. But once again, tofu in Japanese restaurants, in Japanese recipes, is often going to come out with fish flakes on it, or it's going to have a sauce on it that has fish essence in it. So again, avoiding the seafood is going to be really difficult. So even if you see that safe looking tofu thing on the menu, it might have fish in it. All right, so what are we leaving behind? Perfumes and colognes. We're going to leave behind this overly sweet candy and chocolates of our home country. And we're going to be leaving behind the overly body revealing clothing because Japan's still pretty conservative along those lines. And also, without planning and willpower, you might want to leave behind your vegetarianism or your veganism. All right, let me know what you think. Do you have any things that you would add to this list? Or do you have any comments about the list that I made? Let us know in the comments below. Remember to like, subscribe if you haven't already. And I want to really thank you for watching this particular episode. I put out a new video every single Friday about Japan, society, life, and culture. So look for my other content. Thank you so much for watching this one. I'll catch you next week. Peace.